Are you ready, Mhlekazi? Are you ready to talk to the CFO, Mhlekazi? Have you ever spoken to the CFO in your life, Mhlekazi?
A number of times.
A number of times. Mhlekazi. A GCFO, Mhlekazi. I'm sure you've spoken to a CFO. This one is a GCFO.
The group.
A group, Mhlekazi. You've just spoken to a one-for-one entity.
That G.
Yeah, that is, it carries weight, Mhlekazi, when you've only spoken to CFO. So that's the Group Chief Financial Officer of the city of Johannesburg. This is the crew. That's Mvlalose. Umfundisi ke lo. Ngambona nje ethwele isigqoko. Umfundisi uyasithandazela la with the shirts. Acela uJehova sibawutha benathi. Upikinini lo. Upikinini angomfundisi ke upikinini. Ngumuntu nje kaThixo lo. Kodwa ayingomfundisi. Sis Aram nje sikaThixo. This is the main man. Yonke into yenzeka ngaye.
Any words?
No, Mhlekazi, I'm ready. Mhlekazi, can't wait to talk to the CFO.
What's the first question?
My first question is to say, how does it feel to be CFO? A man who handles 80 billion. So imagine the man who has got access. He probably has a key to where the 80 billion is of the city of Johannesburg. So I can't wait to say, how does it feel to wake up? When I check my phone, money on my phone, it shows me 1 rand. And I check, it probably takes the phone and check the city's balance, and it shows in billions. Botani and welcome to the Sheds. We're back again, shedding light on everything that matters, and this time around, money matters. Mhlekazi, are you all right?
I'm right, because I can't wait to talk about money.
Not just money, a lot of it. Mhlekazi, not billions, billions, not even millions, not even hundreds of millions, Mhlekazi, not thousands, Mhlekazi, and all of that. We are today shedding the light on the GCFO, Group Financial Officer of the city of Johannesburg, the man who is handling mega bugs, and his name is Tebogo Moraka.
Morning, colleagues.
Welcome to the Sheds.
Thank you very much for having me.
Kwazana tells me that Moraka is short for Murawaka. Is that true? I don't trust him.
He's coming up with his own definition. So his Tswana Moraka is the farm.
Okay.
I took from a suit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Moraka what home?
So wherever your cattle would be, Komoraka.
For the crow.
Oh, so okay. When you are saying I'm going to the farm, Komoraka, 100%.
Okay, cool. You are the GCFO group, not just CFO. We often hear of CFOs. What is the difference between a CFO and a group CFO?
So in any conglomerate actually would be where you have a holding company.
Do you need a dictionary person? Conglomerate to check that. Yeah.
So you would have a holding company and subsidiaries. So let's look at your Bidvest, for example, where the main Bidvest is the holding company, but you would know they've got FoodServe, they've got the bank, they've got the travel. So they all report into one holding company. So we would have a group CFO there and CFOs at the subsidiaries. So in the city of Johannesburg, you would know we've got 14 entities, each with its own CFO. They would report then into group finance, where I sit at the.
So you are the big CFO.
100%.
We are the super CFO. And the guys are the small ones.
If you'd like to put it that way. So obviously, when you look at the city of Johannesburg, you don't talk about city power, Joburg Water. You talk about one municipality. So I am the CFO for the municipality and the other CFOs for the municipal-owned entities.
No, okay.
I think you forgot to mention something else, which was very, very important.
Yeah.
Mr. Moraka is the group CFO of the city of Johannesburg, the biggest metro in South Africa.
Yes.
And at a tender age of, I dare say, is 34. How does it feel to be the youngest? I think you're the youngest ever in the city.
Yes, they were always old enough to be my father. Yes. So you could say Kintwana Mhlekazi.
Yeah, Kintwana. I'm graduating to 35 in December, so I'll be an adult very soon.
Yeah.
But I mean, no, for sure. Maybe it hasn't sunk in about age. I think I come in at a time where the city and the country in general is facing tough economic situations. So I haven't had time to sit back and say, hey man, well done. My focus really has been in ensuring that we are moving forward, we are sustaining. So maybe in December, sitting down with a glass of whiskey, I can say no. At least, I'm there.
I want us to come to what it means to be a CFO or GCFO of the City of Johannesburg. It's been a quarter now, I think sort of a full quarter. But before then, you are a chartered accountant by profession. And this year in October, matriculants will be writing their exams, final exams. There's a kid who's sitting out there saying, I want to be an accountant or a chartered accountant. Just take us through, what does it mean to be a chartered accountant? How many times must a man graduate to get there?
So chartered accountants is the highest, I would say, level of accountants in the country. Globally, CASA, so Chartered Accountant South Africa, is rated as the #1 qualification in the world in terms of accounting. That's why a lot of colleagues and former colleagues are overseas. The market is big. There's only, at the last count, around 45,000 of us in the world. But what that means is, obviously, you go into university, you do your accounting degree. Depending on when you go, I know Vets calls it accounting sciences, UJ still calls it BCom accounting. From there, depending on how your marks are looking, you qualify for honors. There's a set mark.
You
graduate.
Graduation #1.
Yeah, that's graduation #1. You graduate with a certain mark. So you can't just graduate with 50, for example. There's a certain mark that you need to graduate with for you to enter into what we call accounting honors, or the certificate in the theory of accounting, CTA. From there, after it's a year course, probably the most grueling year you'll ever encounter. Then after that, once you pass, so yes, that's your second graduation.
Graduate #2.
You go into what we call articles, almost like law articles. I think law is a year or a year and a half. Ours is 3 years. So you do your articles. It's up to you whether you go to the big 4 firms, which is KPMG, Ernst & Young, Deloitte, and PwC, but there are other auditing firms, your Sizwe Zaluba, your PKF, or you can go to the banks, or you can even go to the big conglomerates I spoke about, your Bidvest. They also have programs, even the City of Johannesburg, by the way. We also have our own program. So after your CTA, you can join us in the city. If your passion is public sector, where you get experience in the finance world, you are exposed to the workings of finance, and after those 3 years, during those 3 years, you write your first board exam in year 1 of your articles. Then in year 2 of your articles, you write your second board exam. And after you pass those 2 board exams, plus your 3 years of articles, you are then confirmed as a chartered accountant.
So it's first graduation, second graduation, 3 times board exams, then you get confirmed as
2 times
board exams.
3 years articles.
3 years articles.
And a set number of hours. I think it's 3,600 hours that you need to cover of actual core work.
In the workplace, yes.
Yeah, they call it core work. So sometimes not even just the workplace, it's core work. So you can't just sit for 3 years and do nothing. There's core competencies you need to meet. And it's around, I think it's 3,600 hours. It's been a while since I was there. But so those are the requirements before they can say you are a qualified chartered accountant.
Wow. Before we get to the serious stuff, I want to ask this before I get myself. You're born and raised, if I'm not mistaken, in Zeerust.
Born in Mafikeng.
Okay.
Moved
Maftown.
to Maftown, Buphelong Hospital. So my father was a policeman, so he moved around quite frequently. So born in Mafikeng, that's where he started. We moved to Rustenburg when he got a promotion. Then we moved to Zeerust when he got another promotion. But I guess Zeerust is the base, really, because the majority of our family is there. Then from there, I went to boarding school, Poch Boys. Then after Poch Boys in 2007, I came to Johannesburg, the University of Johannesburg, to start my degree.
And how have you been finding the city? I mean, if you were to reflect your journey in the city.
The city and public sector in general is a very interesting space. Every day is different. And to be honest, when I joined, that was what I was looking for. I'm one of those people, I don't like autonomy, doing the same thing every day. And I mean, the city has given me that opportunity, different dynamics, different challenges at different times. So by the time I joined the city, I joined when the former CFO was still here, Reggie Botcom, just before he left. So I joined more on the technical part, looking at the technical aspects of accounting or GRAP standards, and what the GRAP standards translate to in terms of the financial statements. After a few months, I thought maybe it's time for a new challenge.
Okay.
And luckily, there was an opening at Corporate Shared Services, specifically under IT at the time.
Okay.
So I joined in there as a deputy director for finance. Then you would know when the former mayor Herman Mashaba came in, the strategic drive was to take IT out of corporate shared services, because the business that we do in technology is different to HR and fleet management, for example. And when that happened, I moved with IT, then becoming the director of finance there. And technology, I must say, has been a driving force of where I've been for the past few years. And I think technology also, we'll talk about it when we start talking about finances and strategy. Automation and digitization of the space is critical for us to really say we're a world-class city, where we are not working on manual spreadsheets, and we are still saying we've got the biggest budget in the country. Doesn't make sense, those kind of things. But anyway, so through my journey at IT, last year, I think March, I was asked to act as the group chief technology officer. So that's the HOD of IT. I stayed in that position for a year until this year, when I think in February or so, when I was asked to come act in the CFO position, which was vacant at the time.
Okay.
Then in July, I was finally confirmed after obviously interviews, competency assessments and the likes, as the new then permanent CFO for the city of Johannesburg. So my journey in the city of Johannesburg, I must say, has been interesting, and has been dynamic, and it has been ever changing, which is something I prefer.
I see Mhlekazi wants to speak about the money.
He becomes a GCFO in July.
Yeah.
You must have been tasked with something. What is that, and how is it going?
Few things. Revenue management, ensure that we stop 100%, manage it properly. So billing and collection, right? Ensure that we are billing whatever we're supposed to be billing, ensure that we are collecting at a maximum rate. Expenditure management, ensure that we are spending money where value for money is coming into the city of Johannesburg, and we're not just wasting money, but also ensure that we are complying when we are spending this money. Therefore, the reduction of UIFW, and ensure that compliance in terms of supply chain management is increased, right? And obviously supporting the city manager in terms of good governance and effective leadership. I think in any organization, those four pillars, and obviously including, you would say, balance sheet optimization, or ensuring financial sustainability. When you talk about liquidity and the likes, that we are increasing those ratios and making sure that we've got sufficient cash to cover us in case of any emergency. So if you look at those five really strategic pillars, they are necessary in any environment, whether it's the city, whether it's private sector. Maybe the workings are a bit different, where you would have a board, where we have council, where we would have we have executive level politicians, your mayor and your MMCs, but the strategic pillars for any organization to be successful is the same. So I was tasked with those, making sure that those things are there.
Just a follow-up, Mhlekazi. Strategic pillars, the fiscal status of the city, financial responsibility, and all of that. How is the city of Johannesburg looking? We've seen municipalities collapsing, failing to provide service delivery, failing to pay workers, and mayhem ensued. How is the city compared to being broke, to being stable, or to doing very healthy?
Look, we are stable. We would like to be healthy. Any organization would like to be healthy, but we are stable. I would say stable but fragile at the same time. You know, when
stable but fragile
at the same time.
Could it be same as critical but stable?
So, we are not critical. we are stable, but we should acknowledge when the country is under strain. So when your news talk about economic activity not growing, economic growth being under 1%, you would think that us, the city of Johannesburg, being the epicenter really of commercial interest in the country, that's where we are most hit. So if an interest rate hike comes in, you would imagine that our residents get the most brand, because this is the biggest pool of the middle class. So if our residents are under pressure, if business is under pressure, the city of Johannesburg will be under pressure, because it becomes increasingly difficult to collect our money. So the reflection of the country and where the country is definitely plays a part in where we are as the city of Johannesburg. The devastating effects of load shedding. You know, City Power will tell you that in the last financial year, so the one that ended June 2023, out of the 365 days of that financial year, 300 days had load shedding. You would imagine if there's load shedding, we are not billing. And if we are not billing, we can't collect. You can't collect when you can't bill. That means our budgets are under pressure. So that 80 billion we talk about then becomes under pressure. So our strategic drive now is to say, how do we best protect the revenue that we have set? How do we become less dependent, for example, on ESCOM? How do we become less dependent, for example, on rainwater? And those are some of the strategic conversations that are taking place at the moment at the city.
What keeps you awake at night with regards to the city's finances?
Collection. Collection keeps me awake at night. Now,
sorry, Joseph, when you say collection, somebody must wonder, what is collection?
So collecting whatever the city has built. So if we've billed you for electricity, we've billed you for water, we've billed you for sewage, we've billed you for your refuse, we must collect that money. Now, electricity and water, let me talk about electricity. Electricity becomes a bit easier because it's not easy, but it's a bit easier because of prepaid and because of the fact that if you don't pay us, we'll switch you off. Water becomes difficult because of illegal connections, illegal bypassing of our meters, and communities that just don't want to pay for water. I think people see water as a commodity that they shouldn't be paying for. They don't understand that the city and the city pays for that. So collection really keeps me awake at night, 100%.
Just to follow up with that, because he says the collection keeps him awake at night. And we've seen in the news, we've read in the news as well, that the city is on aggressive control. And they've now resorted to roadblocks. Are we now arresting people?
They are peacefully driving. They
set the record straight. You know, if I'm owing my municipal account, water and electricity.
So as part of our collection efforts, we must recognize that education of our residents is key. You would expect someone to naturally know that you need to pay for your bill. The same way you pay for your cell phone bill, your DSTV bill and the likes. So our drive with joining JMPD, these roadblocks are JMPD roadblocks. Our drive with joining them is to engage with the residents and give them extra avenues in terms of payments, instead of, for example, coming to our revenue centers, or if they don't have time to log on, they can pay us at that point in time. Or if they've got any questions, any queries, they can actually ask or log those queries.
So Nyaniso can at a roadblock when he arrives there, he owes the city of Johannesburg for his water and lights. He can just swipe his black card and pay.
He can swipe his black card. If he's got issues with billing, he can actually ask for feedback there. Because our people, our revenue officials are there, and the system that we use to log queries and give feedback is also there. So it's an additional avenue.
Joseph, what do you say to someone who says taking it to the roadblock looks a bit desperate? It looks a bit like you don't have access to these people. When someone says, why not in this Yabela? I can imagine class, I'm going on a date with my wife, and the city stops me and says, hey, but taking it to the roadblock, what necessitated that? Is it because the residents are not paying? Do you feel that residents just don't want to pay and they feel you must get them wherever they are?
100%. So remember, the roadblock was going to be there, whether we were there or not, right? And that's why we are joining them. But the second part, why are we joining them? Revenue collection is the lifeblood of the city of Johannesburg, of any metro in the country. If we are not collecting, there is no way we can dispense service delivery. So any avenue in terms of collection, we must take advantage of. And that's why we are also punting eJoburg. There's additional modules that we will be rolling out on eJoburg, automated acknowledgement of debt, automated and instant pay of your electricity. That's some of the digital initiatives we are coming with. Any initiatives in terms of collection must be explored and must be implemented. At this point in time, to sit back and say, look, I look desperate by me being at the roadblock, it doesn't work. The fact is, as at the end of June 2022, we're owed around 48 billion. Now
48 billion.
48 billion. Now at June 23, our initial figures are sitting at around 52 billion. So you would see that
It's increasing.
it's increasing.
Many people are not paying. Why?
understand.
So for what do you think is the main reason people are not paying?
It's a
Consuming water, electricity,
services,
getting your refuse taken by the city and not paying. Why?
It's really a culture of non-payment that we need to educate our residents on. It cannot be a situation where services are not paid for. And that culture shift in terms of our residents, in terms of business, must happen. Otherwise, there's no other avenue for the city to move in. It's that culture of saying, no, but these are free basic services. It can't happen like that, where we are giving services for free and we are paying for it. It's also the issue of the mushrooming of informal settlements. You would know that everyone comes to the city of Johannesburg looking for opportunities, economic opportunities. So the influx of people into the city of Johannesburg puts significant pressure on our bulk services. There's mushrooming informal settlements. There's mushrooming backyard dwellings that put additional pressure on our bulk services, but we are not seeing the payment coming through, which is a problem. And you know, there's elements of also criminality. You would go to some informal settlements where someone is collecting that money. So someone is connecting these informal settlements and collecting the money. That is city money that is supposed to be. So there's criminality elements into it. So, you know, when you talk about collection.
Just to come in as CFO as well, Group CFO. And we've seen also, City Power, I think in the city of Joburg, going to inner city as well, where buildings, block of flats, people are connecting illegally.
100%.
It's there, you know, that's the problem as well.
100%. So we must admit that the culture of non-payment and pure criminality has unfortunately seeped into our society, and we need to correct that.
Who are the biggest culprits of the 52 billion? Not necessarily names of organizations of people, but in terms of
The
sectors
biggest
of
default-
society, biggest defaulters, that the city is sitting at a staggering 52 billion owed. 52 billion.
So the biggest part of it is our water, right? And in our water, residential is our biggest debtor. You understand? Residential probably debt accounts for more than 50% of the debt that is owed. Obviously, business comes in at a close second.
Wow. So business consumption of water is second to individual households.
No, for
consumption.
sure, for sure. So, well, you would imagine. Some big businesses need a lot of water to operate, isn't it? But if we were to segmentize the debt, you would say residential owes the biggest chunk. Business comes then second. Government entities, government also comes in at third. So you would see that our strategic drive is to ensure that business and government are paying. Government, there's no excuse for them not to be paying. Just like the city of Johannesburg, when they budget, they should be budgeting for the expenses of water, electricity rates, and all those things. So there should be no excuse for government to owe us. Businesses as well, if they are operating, they should be paying us. Those are our large power users, our large water users as well. But residential also must pay. They're using consuming a lot of our services, and it cannot be that they are subsidized by business alone. Everyone must play a part, because at some point business will say, look, we are moving away from the city of Johannesburg, meaning that even the services that we are providing to our residents at some point will be affected and will collapse. So everyone really needs to play a part in terms of paying for that bill and paying for the consumption that they are using. It's as simple as that.
That's useful.
Thank you very much.
Postman, thanks for joining us.
I
You have
appreciate
been
it.
watching the Sheds. We've been shedding light on the GCFO of the city of Johannesburg, Mr. Tebogo Moraka, about the finances of the city, about himself. This has been yet another episode of the Sheds. Stay watching and follow us on our social platforms. Check the YouTube, the podcast, and we are there. Thank you very much, Papa In.